Kevin, you and I are real simpatico. You and I think, share an ideology, a worldview, a political point of view about Trump and the Republican Party. In fact, if you're a real kindred, you and I are kindred spirits. Let's look at the establishment versus the non-establishment take on last night's debate. Does anybody honestly think that Mike Pence and Christie had a good night last night?
You know, I was a little bit shocked. I was watching some of the Salem News Channel coverage, and I was flipping back and forth between there and Fox News. And I think, depending on kind of your age and stage of life, I think people saw the event very differently as the events unfolded. And this is where I love to go on social media and see like what the older crowd on Facebook has to say versus the younger crowd on X, and you know, some of that. If you look at millennials and younger last night, they think Vivek Ramaswamy wiped the floor with all the rest of the 7 that were there, and that even though he was attacked and had never debated publicly in his life before, that he passed this test pretty hard. You talk to people like Ed Morrissey from Hot Air or Hugh Hewitt from the Salem News Channel, they had a very different take. It was a very we don't know if he's really prepared. He kind of seems a bit eager, maybe too young, maybe too green. And I don't
let me follow up with that for just a moment. Let me interject here. The 2 people angriest at Vivek Ramaswamy last night were Christie and Mike Pence.
Yeah.
They're arguably the most establishment politicians on that stage last night. So the things that the establishment hates about Trump, I suspect the establishment hates about Vivek.
I think so, and I think it was the fact that even though they thought they could trip him up into having a really bad moment, he was ready. When they came back to him on how do you solve the problems, he was like 4-word answers on energy. You know, it was burn, frack, drill, and one other thing.
Yeah.
But he was ready and he was on fire. The thing,
and
that
Kevin, he was also, and pardon me, but he was also ready for the question: would you support Trump as the nominee? His hand went up like a rocket. The rest of them, did you see how awful that moment was?
They were kind of guilted into it.
Guilt, and they're looking around nervously. I mean, Pence and even DeSantis were looking around, and they didn't want to put their hand up. And then poor Christie, as they say in the South, bless his heart, he put his hand up, and then he pretended he was pointing. What a pitiful moment for him.